In the first decade of this century, humans made more plastic than all plastic manufactured in history, and every year, billions of pounds of plastic end up in our oceans. There are currently 5.25 trillion plastic particles floating at sea, while about a fifth of marine litter is composed of fishing gear, industrial losses, or illegal dumping. Roughly 80% of marine litter is a result of land-based activity. Improperly discarded trash is often found in runoff that moves from land to rivers and eventually the ocean. And when plastic waste is collected and transported to landfill sites, it is at risk of escaping into the environment. Even when plastic litter does make it to landfills, it can be easily moved by wind and end up in rivers or oceans for marine animals to consume.
Environmental activists claim the solution is simple, that we just need to cut down our plastic consumption. They tell us to use less plastic or to buy a reusable water bottle. While a global effort to minimize plastic consumption is important to keeping our oceans clean, it is extremely difficult to execute and frankly unrealistic without legislation. What is so unique about plastic is that it comes in many different shapes and sizes and is utilized in many of our day-to-day items. Besides the obvious plastic products such as plastic bags, cups, toys, wrappers, utensils, and traffic cones, several toiletries, such as toothpaste and facial cleansers, contain minuscule plastic microbeads that pass through filtration systems and are released into the ocean, poisoning fish. Plastic is even found in clothing, which sheds microplastic fibers when washed. Microplastics form when larger, more visible plastics break down into smaller pieces. As our world has developed and industrialized, we have found more uses for this groundbreaking material. Plastic's ability to morph into different and useful items makes it extremely desirable to commercial industries.
Traveling back about 60 years to 1960, when plastic had just popularized in global industries, the world produced only about 10 million metric tons of plastic. This Lego represents that 10 million. As time went on and more uses for the product were discovered, the global industry's plastic production reached new heights. And by 2015, we produced approximately 375 million metric tons of plastic. This number is predicted to only increase, reaching 400 million metric tons a year by 2025. So what does this mean for our oceans? All 5 of Earth's major oceans are currently saturated with plastic pollution. Due to currents and wind patterns, the majority of this plastic ends up in massive garbage patches throughout the sea. The largest of these patches is known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which lays between the west coast of the United States and Asia. The patch is estimated to be 3 times the size of France and consists of about 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic. While such a large quantity of plastic may seem unimaginable, the problem is only getting worse. The patch is growing exponentially for over 70 years. This immense accumulation is occurring because plastic is a non-biodegradable product, meaning it is unable to break down or decay. The Environmental Protection Agency reports every bit of plastic ever made still exists.
Plastic primarily affects marine life through ingestion. Many species are unable to distinguish plastic from their food and end up consuming the toxic waste we produce. Sea turtles, fish, and whales are just a few examples. Plastic bags and other litter may resemble jellyfish, a primary food source for sea turtles. Research indicates that approximately half of the world's sea turtles have eaten plastic in their lifetime. Similarly, whales often cannot tell the difference between their prey and plastic. In January, a dead whale was found on Norway's coast. When inspected, scientists found 30 plastic bags in the whale's stomach. Incidents like this are not rare. Whales that feed on larger prey may mistake large plastic objects for their food due to a close resemblance. When plastic is broken down into smaller pieces, it becomes the size of plankton. Additionally, when mixed with salt water, the fragments release a scent similar to that of plankton. In the North Pacific alone, fish ingest 12,000 to 24,000 tons of plastic per year. Plastic ingestion can lead to internal injury, choking, or starvation, as the animal may think they are full from the plastic they have eaten. This can result in issues for animals with temperature-dependent sex determination as well. While half the world's sea turtles and an unimaginable amount of fish and whales may seem extreme, these are only a few of the animals affected by plastic pollution. Plastic harms organisms both in and out of the water. 90% of seabirds, including albatross and petrels, are now eating plastic on a regular basis. By 2050, that figure is expected to rise to 100%.
Plastic is destroying and severely altering ecosystems and threatening several species. If this isn't unsettling enough, humans also face consequences caused by plastic pollution. Eating fish is good for us. Fish contain high levels of nutrients uncommon in other foods and can reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease. However, fish filled with plastic is another story. In a University of California study, 1 in 4 fish that researchers purchased from fish markets in Indonesia and the United States were found to have plastic in their guts. People become contaminated by eating fish that consume plastic in its lifetime. Theoretically, the plastic we throw into our oceans can end up in our stomachs, and the evidence is mounting that the toxic chemicals from the plastic can cause serious health problems, including cancer, damage to the immune system, behavioral problems, and reduced fertility.
Plastic litter impacts more aspects than just human health, however. The success of commercial industries and tourism relies heavily on our oceans. Take Bali, for example. Today, tourism is the single largest industry in Bali. Debson, a tourist guide on the island, responded to the issue of plastic pollution, stating, "We cannot afford to lose tourists, as our livelihoods depend on it. If Bali is one of Indonesia's wealthiest regions, it is because of tourism." If plastic pollution worsens, as it is predicted to, popular tourist destinations will turn into disgusting landfills of plastic, which will close thousands of hotels and leave thousands without jobs. The fishing industry is also threatened by plastic. Fishermen, who rely on catching fish for a living, will be unemployed if they can only collect plastic. In effect, seafood restaurants that can't get access to fish would close, leaving chefs and waitresses unemployed. And not to forget that cargo ships, which the global trading industry relies on, will not be able to travel through patches of garbage and plastic. As more plastic is thrown into our oceans, more people will lose their jobs. This domino effect of unemployment and a possible global economic crisis is, however, possible to prevent if the right steps are taken.
2006 was the only year that the global production of plastic noticeably decreased. During this year, African countries such as Zanzibar and Tanzania banned plastic bags entirely, and the U.S. Congress passed a bill, the Marine Debris Research, Prevention, and Reduction Act, to create a program to address the marine debris pollution. In this bill, Congress explicitly defined marine debris and forced a national initiative to cut down plastic, limiting industries from utilizing specific types of plastics, such as microbeads. However, similar to many bills passed, this initiative was only dramatically enforced in 2006, the year it was created, and as Congress became less forceful, companies returned to their previous ways. To further address the issue, the Microbead-Free Waters Act of 2015, a ban on rinse-off cosmetics that contain intentionally added plastic microbeads, was passed specifically in Connecticut. Yet, if you take a visit to any local pharmacy, you will find dozens of products containing the exfoliating beads. It's not that the government isn't trying to limit plastic pollution, they're passing bills that would theoretically help our oceans. However, a bill without enforcement is powerless. Congress's pressure on plastic industries in 2006 created a noticeable decrease in plastic production, but once they backed off, the problem worsened.
As demonstrated, several companies will not change their habits willingly. We need global legislation that will ban plastic products like microbeads, forcing companies to resort to environmentally friendly approaches. As we await legislation, entrepreneurs like Benjamin Stern are taking matters into their own hands. 18-year-old Benjamin is the CEO of a bodiless bath products company called Nobo. His main mission is to create biodegradable products that are eco-friendly. According to Stern, the drops are natural, made without the use of damaging chemicals, and packaged with plant-based materials, making us 100% waste-free. Many renowned companies have also tried and succeeded in changing the plastic rings surrounding bottles to compounds made of food that sea creatures can eat. Florida's Saltwater Brewery, for example, replaced plastic rings with animal food consisting of wheat and barley left over from the brewing process. The brewery hopes that biodegradable packaging will save marine life and inspire other companies to take a similar initiative.
Water companies have also minimized the plastic in their products. Recently, Poland Springs eliminated a piece of plastic on sports bottle tops. Some companies, such as Boxed Water is Better, have gone even further by using no plastic. The company created a 100% recyclable paper box that holds water. And not to forget the efforts of popular food chains such as Starbucks to eliminate plastic straws. Although the initiative to ban straws has received a lot of attention, straws only account for approximately 0.03% of ocean plastics. We should be focusing on banning and finding alternatives for plastic that makes up more of marine litter, like plastic bags and bottles.
This starts with the individual. Support or start local initiatives to ban plastic bags or trash cans on beaches. Call your senators, Will Haskell 860-240-8600 or Tony Wang 860-240-8805 and tell them to enforce acts like their microbead ban. And try your hardest to exchange plastic bags for reusable cloth ones, plastic wrap for beeswax cloth wraps, plastic water bottles for reusable ones. Although these environmentally friendly substitutes are not always convenient and impossible to enforce on a global scale, every effort counts. One less plastic bag means one more healthy turtle. While passing legislation is crucial to aid in this case, it is up to individuals like you to actively support this initiative and make simple changes in your life that can ultimately save our oceans.